So this is the continuation of the quantitative piece that I started a little bit ago. There are multiple tables that you have to report, both in your text as well as for your presentation. Because in quantitative, we have 20 people taking part in the study, we want to have, maybe if you assess gender differences, we want to see what the gender was like. Many of you would ask about age. If you did it in categorical way, so you say from this to this, from this to this, I really don't like age like that because it restricts the types of analysis I can do. But for some of you, if that's what your supervisor wants, go ahead. If you did it in rank version from this to this, then I think to present that, you have to use this kind of bar chart or maybe a pie chart, okay? But if you do it like the one I prefer, then you present age as median, mean. Every time you present something as a mean, you have to provide your standard deviation because that's the only way you can put the mean in context. So I would want to see the median age, the mean with the standard deviation, as well as the range. What this means is participants were on average 15 years old, and that's the median. Into parentheses, the mean and the standard deviation. What generally happens is if the age is clustered, or any group of numbers, if they are clustered around the same number, mean is almost the same as the median. But mean is the middlemost number. Median can be median is the middlemost number. Mean can be pulled by extreme variables. And so if I have, let's say 100 people, a majority of them are between 15 and 16, but I have two who are in the 40s and one is maybe 3 years old. The mean, you would have expected that the mean would be about 15 or 16, 15.5. But the mean will end up being something else because of those large numbers. So that's why I prefer that my students would present their ages as median, mean with standard deviation and range. But this is an example of the student. I don't even know which one this one is. Let's see. If they are married, then these are adults. Okay, so you write something like intimacy was explored to understand if participants were partnered. And for this one, partnered is in a relationship and married. So you put into parentheses N, which is the sample size, equals 36, or single. And single is single and not searching, and single and searching. I have discovered that we need to sift these things out because if a person is searching for a partner, it can increase their anxiety level if they feel they haven't found one. But if a person is like, hey, I'm single and I'm chill with it, then it doesn't really bother them as much, okay? So this is why we do these things. This is for the adolescents in informal settlement. No, let me go back. So when we do these descriptors, so pie charts is for bar graphs. You can use bar graphs. Some people will use tables. And so I provided a sample of tables and graphs. And then you can also use tables to describe religion or rank in an institution, depending on what you're looking for. Okay, but in the results section of your work, all you are doing is just reporting what the data has extracted for you. So what is it the data says? That's it for the main text. But if you are presenting, when you present what the data says, then you connect it to some description because not everybody who is listening to you has had a chance to read your work. You get the difference. In the main text, you're separating results from discussion. But when you're standing there doing an oral defense, you have to put them together. What does the discussion mean? Discussion means I'm connecting my results to the literature that I did in the literature review. You realize where the golden thread is coming from, okay? So by all means, my research, and that's why it's important that you do your literature review as closely aligned to your research objectives as possible. Because if I know that I'm going to talk about these people, if for the top one, they are emerging adults, what what is the sample or the population of young people in Ghana? And how is this population consistent with that? These ones are trainee nurses. How is that a reflection of what the nursing profession looks like in Ghana? Okay. And so if I'm talking, I'll talk about so let's see, 58.3% are in a relationship. You're comparing that to this and this, which is actually the range for emerging adults. If we are looking at people in their lower to mid 20s, then that's fair. And then you come to the bottom part. So what you're doing is you're comparing what your results are showing to what the literature says about emerging adults, to what the literature says about people in the tertiary institutions. Okay, so when you finish, then you add a sentence or two about why your own results may be similar or different. If it is different, then hey, this could be it. So for example, assuming that this study was about trainee nurses in private universities or wherever, then the numbers will be a bit different from those in the public university. So then you speak to that, supported by what the literature is saying. Okay. Let me see if I can add one more table to it. So it's important that you explore the different nuances of your demographic variables. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, so this part, before you do any statistical analysis with any instrument, you need to demonstrate that the instrument was good enough to use. And so because of that, you have to provide your Cronbach's alpha or any other reliability index that you use. It could be an instrument that you designed yourself or something that you adapted or adopted from a reliable and valid one, okay? But either way, your own study sample is different from what the instrument developers had, so you have to indicate the reliability and the validity. And what I will normally use is the Cohen's 1988 index that is used to measure this classification. And this says it's either acceptable, strong, very strong, and they have numbers to go with those. So again, read that. And you also have to describe the popular assumptions for each of the statistical tests. Which ones did you meet? Which ones did you violate? When you violated something, what did you do to take care of that violation? About 10, 15 years ago, publications were not too stringent on effect sizes. But now I've submitted a few papers that they've indicated that if you don't provide the effect size, they won't even take a look at your paper. What is effect size? Is a reflection of what I call clinical significance. And that is really important in the kind of work we do, okay? So you have to indicate which index you are using for effect size. For example, in this student's work, the student is using the eta squared. It's spelled ETA, okay? So in the ANOVA is the eta squared. In a t-test, I think you have to report the Cohen's D. And each of these has a different description or index on, is it strong? Is it good? Is it not good? So clinical significance, which is the p-value for this one, sig, or P, is important, is necessary, but is not enough in analyzing inferential statistics, okay? So you have citations like Cohen 1988, Cohen 1990, Sullivan and Fain 2012. So effect size really describes the practical significance of a research outcome and is really necessary for the kind of work we do as scholar practitioners. So in performing ANOVA analysis, common measure of effect size is the partial eta squared. And the general guidelines followed is if partial eta squared is 0.01, it is considered a small effect. If it's 0.06, it's considered a medium effect. If it's 0.14, it is considered large, okay? So for this work, it's 0.013. If it's 0.01, it's considered a small effect. So for this one, it's not statistically significant and the effect is also small. Hopefully I'll be able to share with you the table for the other index of effect size, and then we will take it up from there. Okay. I'm hoping that I can put the references of some of these in the descriptor to make it easy for you to go and take up all these readings for your own edification. Thank you for spending the time with me. Bye.